Welcome to the Explainer. Okay, let's just jump right in. Imagine someone coming up to you and saying they just bought a cup of coffee using money that doesn't actually exist in physical form. It's not controlled by any bank, there's no CEO calling the shots, there's zero government backing, and yet a single unit of it can be worth thousands of dollars. Wild, right? Well, that is the fascinating reality of Bitcoin, the world's very first and most famous cryptocurrency. Now, I know for a lot of people this whole concept feels like science fiction, or maybe just a bunch of really intimidating technobabble, but today, we're going to strip all of that away. We're going to look at the facts and break down exactly what this digital currency is, how it works, and why it's literally changing how millions of people think about money.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with money without the middleman. Then, the unalterable digital ledger. Third, mining and the coin cap. Fourth, storing and sending Bitcoin. And finally, investing in digital gold.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Money Without the Middleman, Bypassing the Bank.
Think about how you currently send money to a friend online. When you use a traditional banking app or even something like Venmo or PayPal, you aren't actually handing digital dollars directly to your friend. What you're really doing is sending instructions to a company sitting right in the middle. That middleman checks their own private internal ledger, verifies you actually have the funds, and then updates the balances. Now, don't get me wrong, it's incredibly convenient, but it requires absolute trust in that central authority. The Bitcoin network, on the other hand, operates on a peer-to-peer design. There's no bank, no payment company in the middle. The whole shebang is entirely decentralized, meaning participants transact directly with one another over the internet, completely peer-to-peer.
But that brings up a huge question. Without a central bank keeping track, how do we prevent someone from spending the exact same digital coin twice? That brings us to Section 2, the unalterable digital ledger, our shared public notebook.
So, what exactly is blockchain? It's the big, intimidating buzzword of the century, right? You hear it absolutely everywhere, and honestly, it usually sounds incredibly complicated. But if we just pull back the curtain for a second, the core concept is actually remarkably elegant.
Instead of thinking of blockchain as some super complex mathematical algorithm, I want you to just picture an indestructible shared public notebook. Every single time a Bitcoin transaction happens, it gets written down on a page of this notebook. Once that page is full, it's permanently linked, or, chained, to the previous page. And the best part? Everyone on the network gets to read the notebook, but absolutely no one has an eraser. You literally cannot alter or fake a historical transaction, and that's exactly what makes the system so incredibly secure.
And instead of one central bank holding a master copy in a giant vault, there are tens of thousands of independent computers scattered around the world, and these are called nodes. You can basically think of nodes as independent bookkeepers. Every single node keeps an identical full copy of that public notebook, which contains every transaction all the way back to the very first one in 2009. If someone tries to cheat and change a transaction on their own copy, well, the other tens of thousands of nodes will instantly see that the math doesn't match up and they'll just reject it outright. That decentralized agreement is exactly how the network maintains trust.
But who actually writes the new pages in this notebook? And where does the actual Bitcoin come from in the first place? Let's get into Section 3, Mining and the Coin Cap, the Puzzle-Solving Accountants.
Okay, first off, forget the images of people in hard hats swinging pickaxes at rocks. In the Bitcoin world, miners are simply specialized, highly powerful computers. They're essentially puzzle-solving accountants. They bundle up all the recent pending transactions and then actively compete against each other to solve a massive, highly complex mathematical puzzle. This process is called proof of work. The very first miner to solve the puzzle gets the right to add the next block or page to the blockchain. Now, because solving this puzzle requires a massive amount of computing power and electricity, which, by the way, is exactly why you always hear about Bitcoin's energy consumption in the news, the network rewards the winning miner with brand new, freshly minted Bitcoin. This is literally the only way new Bitcoins ever enter circulation.
But here's the catch. They can't just mine them forever. 21 million. When the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, this pseudonymous Satoshi Nakamoto, wrote the original software code, they hard-coded a strict supply limit. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. Governments can always fire up the printers to make more fiat currency, which we know can lead to inflation. But Bitcoin was intentionally designed to mimic the strict scarcity of physical precious metals, like gold. Once that 21 million cap is hit, the digital printing press stops, permanently.
And this whole evolution happened remarkably fast. Think about this. In 2008, right smack in the middle of a global financial crisis,
Satoshi Nakamoto published a simple 9-page white paper outlining this idea. Just a year later, in 2009, the very first block, the Genesis block, was mined. By 2010, we saw the first real-world transaction. A guy in Florida famously traded 10,000 bitcoins for 2 Papa John's pizzas. I mean, at today's valuations, he ate hundreds of millions of dollars. And looking ahead, based on the network's built-in schedule, the final fraction of a Bitcoin won't actually be mined until the year 2140.
So how does an everyday person actually use this stuff? Let's look at Section 4, Storing and Sending Bitcoin, your digital safe.
To own Bitcoin, you need a digital wallet, which is basically your personal digital safe. Now, there are 2 main types you should know about. First, we have hot wallets. These are connected to the internet, kind of like an app on your phone. They're super convenient for daily trading, but because they're online, they do carry a slightly higher risk of being hacked. Then we have cold wallets. These are completely offline devices, usually looking like a specialized USB drive. They are incredibly secure, but, as you'd guess, a bit less convenient for everyday spending. Regardless of the wallet you choose, it holds 2 absolutely crucial things. First, your public key, which is like your bank account number. You give this to people so they can pay you. And second, your private key, which is the secret passcode to your safe. If you lose that private key, you lose access to your Bitcoin forever. Let me just repeat that, forever. There is absolutely no forgot password button in a decentralized network.
So let's tie all of this together. Here is a step-by-step journey of a transaction. Step 1, you want to send your friends some Bitcoin, so you sign the transaction using your private key. Step 2, that request gets broadcast out to the tens of thousands of nodes we talked about. Step 3, the miners scoop up your transaction, they verify you actually have the funds to send, and they race to solve the math puzzle. Step 4, the winning miner adds the new block of transactions to the blockchain. In roughly 10 minutes, your friend receives the funds, without a single bank ever getting involved. It's really an orchestra of cryptography, nodes, and miners all working in perfect harmony.
Now, all this underlying technology is brilliant, but it brings us to the main reason most people are talking about Bitcoin today. Section 5, Investing in Digital Gold and Navigating the Volatility.
You'll constantly hear investors refer to Bitcoin as digital gold. And it makes sense. Like gold, it has strict scarcity. You just can't synthesize more of it. But it is crucial to understand that because there is no government backing it, no intrinsic physical utility to it, and no central bank guaranteeing its worth, its value is driven purely, 100%, by market demand. It's simply worth whatever someone else is willing to pay for it on any given day.
And that dynamic leads to some very distinct pros and cons for investors. On the pro side, it is a decentralized, censorship-resistant network. Nobody can step in and freeze your account. Its fixed supply also offers a potential hedge against traditional inflation. But we have to look at the cons too. The price volatility is, frankly, extreme. Historically, Bitcoin has gone through massive boom and bust cycles, sometimes suffering brutal drawdowns of 70 to 80% from its previous highs. You really need a massive tolerance for risk to ride that out. Furthermore, transactions are irreversible. If you make a typo and send funds to the wrong place, there is no customer service hotline you can call to reverse it. And as we mentioned earlier, if you lose your private keys, your investment is gone forever. It is an asset class that absolutely demands a high level of personal responsibility.
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this quote. Bitcoin represents a new way of thinking about money, built on code instead of central authorities, rules instead of policy decisions, and cryptography instead of trust. Whether you ultimately decide to view Bitcoin as a revolutionary financial tool, maybe just a speculative asset, or even just a fascinating technological experiment, this is the core takeaway. It fundamentally shifts financial power away from centralized human institutions and hands it directly to mathematics and decentralized consensus.
Which leaves us with a massive question to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. As digital tokens and code continue to evolve, mature, and really challenge the boundaries of traditional banking, is a decentralized peer-to-peer system the inevitable future of global finance, or is it simply going to be a parallel alternative? The network is humming along right now, adding a new block every 10 minutes without fail, and the market will ultimately decide. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep exploring, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.